So making yourself comfortable, sitting down, whatever that is for you. I'm sitting against a bolster. You can sit on a block. You can sit on a cushion. You can kneel. You can sit against a wall. Whatever feels good, wherever the legs might be. They might be out in front, out to the side, cross-legged, butterfly. Just trying to lengthen up through the spine. So really dropping down a little bit through the hips, lengthening the sides of the waist, lengthening through the front and the back of the body. Let's take a prana mudra. Prana mudra is the thumb connecting down to the tips of the ring finger and the little finger. The other two fingers come together and are outstretched. Okay, yeah, prana mudra. Flip the palms face up and just notice how that feels into the hands. And, you know, if the fingers get a little too tight here, just relax out those two other fingers. If you stretch them out, that's going to be deeper feeling and sensation for the mudra. So just roll the shoulders up and back. Let them soften down the back of your neck, shoulder blades, and the back of the rib cage. Fingertips are pointing down towards the earth. And maybe you've already closed the eyes. Maybe you like to take a soft gaze down just in front of you. But soften around the forehead, around the temples, around the third eye area, between the eyebrows. Soften around the jaw and the teeth. And soften through the throat and across the chest. Letting the shoulders relax a little bit more. Keeping lifted through the spine, relaxing into the hips, legs, feet, and ankles. So it is always so important that each and every time you come to your mat, you recognize as you feel in those moments, not as you felt yesterday, last week, or last month. Never comparing, making comparison, just honoring your mind and body as it comes to the mat. Finding a steady and even breath, breathing in and out of the nostrils, allowing the inhale to travel to each and every part of the body. Fingertips, toes, crown of the head. And your exhale breath softens, releases, and relaxes your mind and body, bringing you a little bit more into this present moment, anchoring you into your space, onto the mat, and into the body. Once you feel that any distractive thoughts are now set aside, preparing yourself mentally and physically for practice, take your focus, your attention down to your mudra. So just notice the sense of touch, the backs of the hands resting on the knees, the sense of touch of the thumbs lightly against your ring and little finger. Sensing the extension of the other two fingers. And our prana mudra is used to energize the body's vital life force, or prana. The prana flows around the body. It's completely invisible. It's your life force energy. This mudra helps to remove any blockages within the chakra system, allowing those wheels to spin a little bit more freely. And we're going to be working through the entire chakra system today, from crown to root. Becoming centered, aligned, and balanced, inside and out. Just ask yourself this question: what helps me function optimally? What allows your mind and body to function optimally? Take a nice deep exhale out as you gently release that mudra, opening up the palms of the hands, giving the fingers a stretch, stretching the fingers away, and then wiggling the fingers, moving into the knuckles, the joints of all the fingers and the thumbs, and gently circling the wrists one way and the other. If you're cross-legged here, swap the legs around. So bring the other leg in front. Always a bit weird, I know. Let's bring left hand onto the heart center, right hand down onto the lower abdomen. Take a moment just to feel again the sense of touch here. We're going to start to do a pranayama through the chakra system. So just breathe normally, breathing in and out of the nostrils. We're going to take 3 breaths into each chakra. So that means that we have 7 chakra points through the body. And that means we're going to take 21 breaths. So we're going to start to breathe into the root chakra first of all. Take 3 breaths, focusing into the root chakra, the pelvic floor. Long, slow, deep and steady inhales and even longer exhales. Only focusing on breathing into the root and out of the root. Let's move that up to the sacral chakra. So breathing into the sacrum, into the lower abdomen. 3 breaths here into the sacral chakra. Focus on that anatomical body area. Imagine those wheels spinning freely. Everybody has a different length of breath, so maybe you do 3, maybe you do 4, maybe you do 5. Let's take the focus now just a little bit higher above the navel, underneath the rib cage. 3 long, slow breaths into the solar plexus. Focusing on that area, front and back and sides of the torso. Once you've completed your 3 breaths there, move that breath up into the heart space where your left hand is placed. Feel the lungs fill and empty with each inhale and exhale. And then take the focus up to the throat, just at the base of the throat here, at where the collarbones meet, just above the sternum. So again, breathing in and out, long, slow, deep breaths. Almost imagining and visualizing those wheels spinning with the breath. And then moving on up to our third eye area, the area between the eyebrows, breathing into that focal point. And then last and final chakra, the crown chakra, just above the crown of the head. So about 2 or 3 inches. Breathe in and out, just above the skull. Feel the body extending, lengthening as you breathe, releasing, relaxing as you breathe out. And then release the chakra breathing. Just breathe in and out normally from root to crown, all the way up the spine. And exhaling down to the ground. Wonderful. Release the hands, lift the knees together. Give yourself a big hug. We're going to come into our first posture, and we're going to start with the crown chakra. So that takes us into the focal point, as I say, just above the crown of the head. So we're going to start by our supported fish. Now, I'm going to go for supported fish on blocks, but you can go supported fish on your bolster. So that's obviously more comfortable. The bolster goes lengthways along the spine. The buttocks are resting down on the mat, so you're perfectly grounded. And just making sure, if you do go for the bolster option, you might want to pop a blanket or a block underneath the head. So coming into the posture nice and slowly, making sure that everything is comfortable and it's nicely placed so that you don't need to move or fidget for the next 5 minutes. So I say lengthen the neck out here, making sure that there's enough space between the chin and the sternum. So the legs, they can rest all the way along the mat, long, or you might like to take soles of the feet together and butterfly. I'll give you the option. Closing the eyes, softening through the facial expression, settling into the pose. Allowing yourself time now for yourself to give in to the process of the practice of Yin Yoga. Principles of Yin to find stillness, mind and body stillness. To notice any edge that you may be reaching, a challenging point in the posture. Noticing and observing sensations through the body as we hold this supported fish posture. Reminding yourself of the chakra breath, the chakra pranayama that we did at the beginning, breathing into the crown of the head, the skull, the brain, just above the crown. And if you like to visualize color in these postures, then you might be visualizing a bright white light above the top of the head. into the last 30 seconds of the posture here. Breathing out, letting go just a little bit more, that opening across the front and the back of the body, softening through the chest, the arms. If you took butterfly pose, take the hands to the thighs, lift the legs together, place the soles of the feet wide. If you had your legs long, bring them back into constructive rest. Flip the palms over and take this really nice and steady, but the elbows come back underneath the shoulders to prop you up so that you can gently lift the head and the neck to look along the body towards the knees. As you start to peel yourself away, you might need to move the legs as you roll over to one side, and then take the prop to one side out of the way of your mat so that you can fully roll down all the way into Shavasana, extending the legs, spreading out the rib cage and the shoulders here. So as you come fully flat, just notice as you come off of particularly blocks, it's a lot more intense feeling than a bolster. So you notice that, everything starts to release out. And again, just feel this energy traveling all the way up the spine to the crown of your head. Crown of the head's reaching away back behind you. Breathe into the crown, exhale to the root. Draw the knees in and gently roll out through the spine. Notice even as you bring the knees in and circle those knees around, giving yourself a little back massage, how this small movement feels in the body. I'm going to gently roll over to our right side. Take time to press yourself up to seated. No rush. Okay. Going to swing the legs around behind us and come into your tabletop position. So wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. And just find that neutral position there. So we're lifting up gently through the abdomen. Spine is long. And again, we can feel this crown of the head extending away from us. And we've completely changed our posture from being on our backs to now, being in tabletop and having to keep ourselves lifted up. So we're going to move through just gentle cat and cows. So releasing on your inhale into cow, exhaling, rounding, softening into cat. Again, being completely aware of those 7 chakra points all the way from the crown right down to the pelvic floor and the root. Sahasrara to Muladhara. That cleansing, purifying, balancing breath. And then come back into neutral and just sway the hips left and right. Maybe the head looks back towards the feet. So knees go left, head goes right, and to the other side. Good. We're going to go into our second posture. This is a child's pose. So again, we're here for 5 minutes. All of the postures today are mostly 5 minutes. So if you like, using a bolster, using a block, using 2 blocks, whatever feels good, we're going to be resting the forehead down. So finding something that's comfortable, because if particularly cork blocks, they're not comfortable for 5 minutes with your head resting on them. So maybe you don't even want to do the child's pose with props and you might just use the back of your hands. Widening the knees, letting the belly just release down through the thighs, softening into the spine. So we gently feel this weight on the forehead.
Soften the forehead, the temples, the eyes, the jaw, the teeth, the throat, the neck, the spine, the shoulders. As you come into the posture, remember that at any point, if it becomes uncomfortable or too intense or challenging and you might need to move, go ahead. That's the freedom to do that. Now take that chakra breath once more into the third eye, so bringing the focal breath up to the area between the eyebrows. And again, if you visualize the chakras in color, this is like an indigo color. If your mind starts to wander off and think of other things, bring it back to the breath, anchor yourself to the moment, and notice and observe sensations that you feel in the body. We don't need to dismiss those thoughts, we just need to be aware that they're popping in, taking our focus away from the mat. Exhaling tension, tightness, letting yourself succumb to gravity. We are almost at the end of that 5-minute hold. Last few moments here, deepening the breath, letting go even further into the posture. And then taking a nice deep breath in and out, just to prepare yourself before moving out of it. And again, take it so slowly to come out. We're going to gently press ourselves back up through the hands and forearms, bringing yourself back up into that tabletop position. Realigning knees underneath the hips, hands underneath the shoulders. Again, find this moment here through neutral spine. Crown of the head reaches forward and away, and the third eye is focused down just between the thumbs. If you need to, releasing out the spine, just do a few rounds of cat and cow. Everything is slow, steady, well-paced and controlled. No jerky movements. So releasing yourself back into kneeling just for one moment. Hands come to the thighs. Take a moment just to release the head, the neck, left and right, dropping chin to chest, maybe a little gaze to the sky. Looking left and right over your shoulders. Okay, coming into our third posture, which focuses on our Vishuddha chakra, or our throat, around this area. So this is either supported bridge or a supported shoulder stand. So we're coming back down onto our backs. I'm going to use a bolster this time, but you can use a block because the block is a little bit lower. So if you don't want to become too inverted here, maybe just using a blanket. So Dad, I'd probably say go with your little red blanket, and that goes underneath the sacrum. So the prop you choose, as I say, bolster is quite high, block is a little bit lower, blanket even lower. So this is your supported bridge variation. Feet are down, spreading the shoulders. You might like to take the arms back into cactus, or they stay by the side of the body. If you want to, you can move into the supported shoulder stand variation. Legs go up to the sky. Okay, make sure that you're not going to fall off. So shuffle the sacrum underneath. Now, bearing in mind that we are working on that throat chakra here, we're lengthening the neck, making sure there's a gap between the chin and the sternum. Okay, so again, arms might be in cactus, they might be down by the side of the body. So settling into wherever feels the best posture for you today. If the legs feel like they are too tight, too tense, you can soften the knees just a little bit towards the chest, keeping the knees nice and bent and the feet just gently resting up above the hips. And with any kind of shoulder stand, bridge pose, halasana or plow or snail, any of these, always trying to maintain the alignment of your head and neck, looking up towards the sky, trying not to turn the head to look at the screen because you've got quite a bit of weight going into the base of the neck, the CT joint, the connecting the cervical with the thoracic. There we go. That's my anatomy talk over. Let's rest into it for the next 3 minutes. So breathing into that area of the throat chakra. And the color is a bright, vibrant blue. Maybe like an aqua blue.
Doing great here with these supported bridges, supported shoulder stands, wherever the legs are. Remember to let go of the tightness and tension in the feet, the ankles, legs, relaxing them down into the hips, softening through the glutes and the belly and the spine. Coming to the last 30 seconds. Believe it or not, these 5-minute holds are going relatively quickly. So again, deepening through the breath into the throat chakra, location just at the base of the neck, base of the throat, I should say, not the base of the neck. And then if the hands were back in cactus, bring the arms back first of all by the sides of the body. And then gently bend at the knees, dropping the feet nice and slowly to the mat. Come back down to supported bridge first of all. Maybe you stayed there. Find supported bridge. Notice the change in the physical feelings and sensations. Obviously a lot less challenging, a lot less intense. And then just before we get up, just stretch the right leg along the mat. Nice stretch into that hip flexor. Keep the left leg bent there. Drop the pelvis across the props. Bring the right leg back and then extend left. Drop into that left thigh, left hip flexor. Nice little stretch there to release. And then bring that left leg back. Press through the feet, press through the arms, lift yourself up, slide your prop away. Take a moment to slowly roll down through the shoulders, through the upper back, through the middle back. We're still lowering through the lower back. And then finally the sacrum comes down, lengthening the tailbone, relaxing into the glutes, and extend the legs. Give yourself a big, big stretch. Reach the arms back behind you, stretch the toes. Breathe into crown, third eye, and throat. Exhale, relax the legs, relax the arms. Just a moment to soften. Give yourself a little shake through the hips, through the shoulders. Draw knees in. Roll and massage out. Lift the head gently, curl into a tight, tight ball, bringing the forehead up towards the knees. That's going to compress into that throat area for the moment. And then release and roll over slowly onto the side. Press yourself back up to seated. Swing the legs around behind you. And then come back into tabletop. All fours. So again, finding this position, neutral spine, lifting up the abdomen, spine is nice and long, sit bones are reaching back behind you, crown of the head reaches forward, third eye focuses down to the mat between the thumbs, and there is space between the chin and your chest. So we move into our heart chakra now. We're going to move into a Sphinx pose. So if you like, you can come into Sphinx or you can take a seal. So seal might be a little bit more appropriate for you, Sarah. But Sphinx is lying down fully onto the belly. Seal is with the hands, so the belly's just lifted away a bit. And you can widen those feet. Just try not to let the shoulders creep up towards the ears here. We are actually pushing away from the mat. So it's not a 5-minute hold, it's a 3-minute hold. So find your option, Sphinx or seal. So taking that breath into the heart space, right into the center of the chest, breathing into that area, front, back, and sides. And if again you visualize in color, visualize an emerald green. Nice. Yeah, seal is a little bit more challenging than Sphinx, but you're not lying down on the belly. We've already done most of the posture hold. Really breathing deep into the lungs here as we focus on the heart space, balancing out that heart chakra, anahata. And then gently lifting up, widening the elbows, rolling down, and then just bringing the head to the back of the hands, big toes touch. Gently sway out through the hips, soften through the spine there, soften the gluteal muscles. And let's gently pull ourselves back through that tabletop. So we press through the palms, we round the spine through cat. We pull the hips back to child's pose, extending the arms out, and then slowly roll up through the spine, coming to the back of the mat. Again, returning to kneeling. Taking a pause, taking a moment to just focus on the 4 chakras that we have worked with so far. So crown, third eye, throat, and heart. Let's lift up onto a high kneel, just widening the knees hip width, taking the hands to the base of the spine. Nice little baby camel here. So you don't have to go too deep. We're only holding it for 3 or 4 breaths, but I just want you to start to feel those 4 chakras becoming aligned here. So crown of the head reaches back behind you, third eye up towards the sky, throat nice and open, and the heart radiating its energy forwards. Softening shoulders away from the ears, stretching the front part of the body. Nice. And then bring it back into center. And let's come to seated. So you can sit on a block here. I'm going to. And let's take butterfly pose. So I'm going to face you. This is a soft and gentle seated spinal twist. So coming to butterfly, first of all, letting the knees just gently rock out to the sides, soften into the hips. So now we're coming down to the solar plexus. So this is the area of just above the navel, just beneath the rib cage. So you're going to take a little spinal twist around to the left. So hand might go to the back so you can place your hand on your spine or fingertips on the mat. You're going to use the other hand as a little bit of leverage. Nice. So we're keeping the spine nice and long. These spinal twists don't have to be too deep. Remember, we're holding here for 3 minutes on each side. Keeping the chest nice and open. Drawing that breath into the solar plexus chakra. And if you visualize in color once more, visualize a bright yellow solar plexus, sun. So we're breathing deep into the digestive organs, into the abdomen, into the sides of the body, and not forgetting the back of the body. Each breath lengthens, each exhale deepens. Release the hands, bring them back into center. Lift the knees before we go to the other side. So just gently drop the belly between the thighs here. So you're lengthening out the spine, dropping head between the knees. Deep, full breath in, deep sighing exhale out. Roll it up. Feet come back to butterfly. I'm going to take the block away for the second side. So hand comes to the knee. Again, we don't have to force these twists. Chest might be in line with the knee. Chest might be in line with the side of your mat. Hand can go back behind you, or maybe it comes to the base of the spine or wraps around to the opposite hip. So again, closing the eyes, softening through the face. Remember all 4 of the chakras that we've already worked on. Crown, third eye, throat, heart, all perfectly balanced, spinning wheels. We're now focusing on that yellow color into the solar plexus, our core center. Each inhale lifts and lengthens. Each exhale deepens into your rotation. Coming to the last 30 seconds. Relaxing shoulders, softening facial expression. And breathe in, bring it back into center. This time we lift the legs, we take the feet wide once more, and we just drop the knees over right and left. Hands can come behind you if you need extra support there. Okay, moving down to our sacral chakra. So this is our wide leg seated forward fold, or a straddle. So taking the feet out, you can of course use blocks or bolsters to support your head. If you don't feel that you wish to use props, that's okay too. You can just take a nice, gentle forward fold. And again, we're focusing on this area here, the sacrum. So just being aware and breathing into that area, but also into the front, so the lower abdomen. So taking time to come into the posture wherever you feel comfortable. If you need to soften out through those knees, please do. The feet are relaxed, the toes are pointing up towards the sky. So the toes aren't rolling inwards. Nice, looking good in our wide-legged forward folds or straddle. So breathing into our sacral chakra now, front and back, lower abdomen towards the pubic bone, and the sacrum, the sacroiliac joint, base of the spine. And again, if you visualize in color, visualize deep orange. We are gently pulling navel back to spine. Slow and steady breaths.
reminding yourself of the journey that it's taken to get here so far through all of the other 5 chakras. Breathe into all of them. Let those wheels spin freely, completely balanced and aligned with one another. Allowing the body and mind optimal functioning. Coming to the end of this posture, last 30 seconds here, letting go just a little bit more. And taking that breath deep into the sacral region. Coming out of the posture, the hands come down. We take a really slow roll up through each and every vertebra from the base of the spine right down at the coccyx, the sacrum, the lower lumbar, the middle back, the upper back, the shoulders, and finally the head and the neck lift. As you sit nice and tall here, again, these 6 chakras all perfectly balanced and aligned. Lift the knees, bring them in together nice and slowly. And this is where we give them a nice little squeeze. So we press the hands on the outer edges of the knees, squeeze them together. Our last and final posture is our squat, yogi squat. So again, you can choose to sit on a block or a bolster or without props. So to get into there, we're going to spin the legs around and just gently press yourself back into a dangle. So feet start to ground. And then bending deep into the knees, letting the knees rock forward. And we haven't stood for a while, so just release into the ankles first of all. And then exhale, sway out through the hips. Let the body dangle. Hands come down. Widen the feet out to the outer edges of your mat. And drop the hips down. Oh, everything's cracking. Okay, so just find some movement there. Again, squatting on a bolster or a block. Hands come into the heart center. So soften out through the gluteals here and the pelvic floor. This is our Muladhara chakra, our root chakra. So taking the energy down into the pelvic floor. And find that breath, focusing on that area. And if you visualize in color, the color is a very deep red.
Try and relax everything in the pelvic floor here. We do not have to grip or squeeze or take a mula bandha. Try and relax everything. Good. You're using your elbows to gently leverage those knees out a little bit wider. Noticing sensations in this final posture. And here, this is a great one to feel from crown all the way down the back of the spine, all the way to the root chakra. So thinking about those 7 chakras that we've worked on. Breathing in, breathing out. I'm not going to keep you here for 5 minutes, but we are here for another 30 seconds. Try and enjoy the posture. And gently release the hands down in front of you. Going to start to lift the hips up, heel toeing the feet back into the center and parallel. Again, take a moment just to feel the feet grounding, rocking on the toes and into the heels. Bend the knees, let the belly and the chest fall over the thighs. Take the head, relax, take hold of the elbows, sway gently. And then fingertips come down onto blocks, onto the shins or to the mat. Lengthen the spine here, a half lift. You can lengthen the legs if you like. Spine is long, sit bones reaching back. Crown of the head reaches towards the front of your mat. And then exhale, release both knees down. Come back to kneeling. And just take a moment to pause, taking in all of those 7 postures. We started off at the crown. We moved to the third eye. We traveled to the throat. We went deep into the heart space. We went to our solar plexus, our core. To our sacrum. And finally ended with the root chakra. And now we can come into our final relaxation. So making sure that you're nice and warm, popping on some clothes, lying down. And maybe you like to use the bolster underneath your knees, maybe a block underneath the head or a blanket. Turning lights off or using eye pillows. And just finding a comfortable place. And if you want to, before you get into your Shavasana, your reclined laying down pose, you can just circle out the knees, circle out the hips, particularly after that squat and the straddle. We targeted the inner thighs there. And coming down slowly and steadily, settling down into Shavasana and final relaxation. Within every one of us is a rainbow of energy painted along the key line of our spine, known as the chakra system. Like spinning doors, energy congregates and converges at your nerve plexus to converse about you and your life, where you came from and where you are now. The chakra gateways line the spine from top to tail, assimilating, digesting, and transforming energy, working together and working on their own. These energetic assembly points combine our life history and our present moments into a readable map that we can use to understand ourselves better. It is from these energy centers that we learn to balance what has toppled, pay attention to what we need most, and send encouragement to what needs to be revealed. Each of these symbols is painted a hue of the rainbow and adorned with a lotus flower. The colors morph and change to reflect our true colors. And like the rainbow, there is no beginning and there is no end. Our hero's journey is to climb from the pot of gold at one end to the heaven at the other, so that we can begin again. When all 7 energy points are spinning in harmony, we feel at ease in our body, our mind, and our heart. I will leave you for your precious moments of silence, letting you know when it's time to return back up. Beginning to take some deeper breaths as you bring your awareness back into your surroundings on the mat and back into the body. Wiggling fingers, wiggling toes, moving wrists, moving ankles. Taking time to increase movement by stretching and drawing knees in, rolling and massaging out, and taking time to roll over to one side, pausing there before coming up to seated. Once you have returned to seated, gently close the eyes, bring the hands into the heart center, palms together, and just drop the gaze down. So the energy comes from the third eye down to the tips of your fingers. And take a moment to breathe in from root to crown. And exhaling crown to root. And then lifting the gaze, lifting the thumbs, placing the thumbs at the third eye. Taking a moment just to ask that question once more again of yourself. What helps you function optimally? Maybe it's as simple as breathing. Maybe it's moving. Maybe it's a full Yin Yoga practice. And always thanking yourself, your body and your breath and focus for practice. And I thank you. Namaste.